Hello everybody, this is Mr. Sosa with another digital art tutorial video. Today we're going to be talking about your food monster, which I get really excited about, mainly because I'm a foodie, which is somebody who really loves food. So we're going to go ahead and go into Google Chrome. We're going to look at the digital art class. You're going to click on modules. Scroll all the way to the bottom as usual, and you're going to find Food Monster Assignment. That's what you're going to click on. Now, right here, you see the Food Monster Criteria.pdf. That's a PDF file that's going to open up whenever we click on that. But just to let you know, this is also the place where you're going to turn in your assignment. Right here where it says Publish and Edit for me, for you it will say Submit Assignment. So that's where you'll go and submit it. You'll click it, and then you'll actually attach the file, and then you will turn it in for credit. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Food Monster Criteria. It's going to bring up, or it's going to download the criteria and present it to us. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to let you guys read through the instructions on your own. But what I want to talk about are the requirements right here. 8.5 by 11-inch canvas size, which is a common US paper size like notebook paper. You need a background layer for your monster. That can literally be a cemetery since it's closer to Halloween. It can be the Grand Canyon. It can be the Great Pyramids of Giza. It could be the Eiffel Tower. It could be outer space. It can be anything you want. A ballpark, Central Park, somewhere here in Tyler. Maybe it can be your own living room. It could be Three Lakes Middle School, whatever you want. 8 to 10 layers of food, including eyes, mouth, arms, and legs. Now remember, every time you compile a new element into Photoshop, it's going to create a new layer. So that's what I mean by 8 to 10 layers. So let's go ahead and open Photoshop. I'm going to minimize these instructions so that I have them handy if I need them. I'm going to open up Photoshop. We're going to click on Create New. Up here are all your options once again. So you've got photo, print, art and illustration, web, mobile, film and video, etc. We're going to stick to print. We're going to click on print, and the first option is what we're looking for, 8.5 by 11. Don't worry about legal or tabloid or A4 or anything else. We're not going to worry about those. We're just going to click on letter, 8.5 by 11. It's going to fill in all this information for you on the right, so you don't need to worry about that. Click create, and it's going to create a brand new blank document. Okay, so keep in mind that down here on the bottom right are your layers. Here on the left are all your tools. Up here, this little arrow pointing up, that's your history tray, your history tab. I like to keep it open about right there, and then I close it. And here's our blank composition. Now, if you want to rotate your paper, let's say you don't want it tall, you want it wide, or you don't want it vertical, you want it horizontal, you are more than welcome to do that. I did request that it be 8.5 by 11, but I didn't say which orientation I preferred, so that's totally up to you. If you want to rotate it, you can simply do this. Image rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. And now it will turn your paper on its side. I'm going to go back in time and do that again. Image rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, so the instructions said that we need some sort of background image. So I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to create a new tab, and I'm going to type out Hogwarts School. Because this is, since it's getting closer to Halloween, I want to create kind of like a Halloween themed kind of wizarding food monster. So I'm going to click on Images, Tools, Size, Large. Always make sure you're looking for the largest images possible. I really like this image right here, and it is wide, so we're going to use that. Let me click on it and see how large it is. Okay, it says it's 1600 by 800. Remember that as long as one of your numbers is above 1000, you should be good. But I'm going to click on this one and see the difference. That one's a little bigger, but it's a little darker, so I prefer this one. Okay, so you're going to right click, or if you're on a laptop, you can double click like I'm doing now. Let's go ahead and save image. I'm going to call it Hogwarts. It was already called that. I should have just kept it. Put it in Documents, Digital Art, Save. Now I'm going to go back to Photoshop, File, Open. Going to bring in Hogwarts. It's going to open it up in a new tab. Okay, so now you have your Untitled tab and your Hogwarts tab. So I'm going to bring Hogwarts down a little bit, grab it by the tab, release it, and now it's on its own. I'm going to grab my Move tool, which is the compass looking tool. It's the first tool on the top left. I'm going to click and hold Hogwarts and just drag it over. You'll see a little plus sign. I don't need this Hogwarts anymore, this composition, so I can just X out of it. Now you need to make sure that you've got your Move tool selected so you can move it around, you can adjust it. But the most common question once again is, how do I make it bigger? We need it to fill the entire composition. To do that, once again, you're going to click on Show Transform Controls. And now you've got a perimeter drawn around your image, at which point you can grab it and stretch it out. Now, this image, we're actually going to lose a little bit of visual data, which is totally fine, so that it'll fit on the screen. Because as you can see, the image is wider than it is tall, but that's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and line it up where I want it. And maybe right, it's kind of glitchy today. Maybe right about there. That looks good. And so I don't accidentally move my layer later on when I'm working with my other layers, I'm going to click layer 1, which is Hogwarts, and I'm going to click this icon right here, which is a lock. So I'm going to click the lock, and now there's no possible way I can move it unless I click on that layer again and unlock it. Okay? Then I can move it around if I want. Every layer is lockable. Every layer is unlockable. Okay, so if you don't want to risk moving anything, I do that all the time. So let's go back to our instructions. They say we need 8.5 by 11 inch canvas size, check. A background layer for your monster, got that, check. 8 to 10 layers of food. Okay, so this is the time where you might start getting a little hungry. I know I get hungry working on this project, so I keep a bag of snacks. That might be something good for you to do as well. Have mom and dad go to the grocery store, pick you up some Mountain Dew and some Takis, and just spoil yourself and have some snacks while you're working on this food monster, because that might inspire you. Okay, that might inspire you. You may say, hey, this Oreo tasted really good. I'm going to use it for an eyeball. Okay, or I like to put cherries in my Coke, so I'm going to use cherries as an eyeball as well, like the pupil. Okay, so you need 8 to 10 layers of food, including eyes, mouth, arms, and legs. So I'm going to go back to Google. I think. Give me just a second. There we go. I'm going to go back to Google, and I'm going to look for a pumpkin. Now, this is where I should tell you. I'm going to click on Images real quick. Tools. Size. Large. Now, if I want just a pumpkin by itself, it's going to be a good idea, and it's going to be much easier for my life if I find a pumpkin with a white background. Okay? So something like this could work. Something like this could work. I found that this pumpkin right here works really well. Let me go back, kind of moved a little bit too far. This pumpkin right here, my goodness, give me just a second. This pumpkin right here, so if I click on that, it's going to bring up the picture of a pumpkin. Now, we typically want pictures with white backgrounds because they are going to be much easier to crop. Okay, Photoshop has a tool called the Magic Wand tool, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. When you use the Magic Wand tool, it's going to be able to crop backgrounds of a same color. So I'm going to go ahead and right click. This time I'm just going to click copy image, go back to Photoshop, edit, paste. And now I've got my pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and scale it up. I'm going to go ahead and scale it up so that it takes up a big part of my composition. I can go ahead and push enter. Okay. Now here's what I'm going to do. There is a tool about 4 tools down. Actually, it is 4 tools down. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like 2 boxes with an arrow. This tool is called your object selection tool. And if you right click or double click on your keyboard, on your computer, you have here the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. Today I'm going to show you how to use both the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. We're going to start with the magic wand tool. So the magic wand tool does this. It will select a pixel or many pixels of the same color to later be wiped out or deleted. So let me show you an example. If I select the white, it's going to select all the white. You see these things called marching ants. Okay, it's going to select the white. If I push backspace or delete, it's going to get rid of the white. Now there's still some areas down here that weren't wiped out because the color was a little bit different. So I'm going to select again, push delete, select again, push delete, select again, push delete. Eventually, it will delete most of your unwanted area. So I'm going to go to select, deselect, because you always do that after a selection. I'm going to grab my magnifying glass. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to the bottom of the pumpkin. And there's still a little bit of visual information that I need to get rid of. Now, it's going to be really hard to get rid of it with my magic wand tool. So I'm just going to grab my eraser. With your eraser, you can right click or double click and tell it how big you want it. For example, this is a large eraser. This is a small eraser. I want sort of a mid eraser. You can turn your hardness up or down. The hardness refers to how soft or hard the brush is. So I'm actually going to bring my hardness down to about 40 and just as careful as I can, following the contours of my pumpkin, I'm going to wipe out that extra bit. Grab your zoom tool, right click, fit to screen, and now I've got a perfectly cropped pumpkin that I can use in my composition. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that right here. Remember, you can move things however you want. If you want to rotate things, you can hover over one of the top left or really one of the corners of the show transform controls, and there's a bended arrow that you can rotate your pumpkin with. Okay, so if that's something you want to do, you can feel free to do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back to Google. I'm going to create a new tab. I'm going to look for candy corn. Okay, I'm going to look for candy corn. Click on images, tools, size, large. And you'll notice this time that we're not really finding a single piece of candy corn, so we're going to have to crop out a piece of candy corn to use. So I'm going to go ahead and take this image and right click, save image as. I can go ahead and call it candy corn. I'm going to save it in digital art. So remember, go to Documents, Digital Art, Save. I'm going to open up Photoshop, File, Open. Double click on candy corn. It's going to open it up in a brand new composition. Now this time, we're not going to use the magic wand tool. We're going to use its brother, which is the quick selection tool. Okay, let me show you what would happen if I were to select the magic wand tool. If I were to select the magic wand tool, it would just select an entire color. So we're either going to get white, orange, or yellow. Select, deselect. But if I click on the quick selection tool, it will let me select an entire piece of candy corn. Okay, so let me tell you real quick the difference between these two tools. The magic wand tool will delete a background. Okay, so if I were to move these candy corn over and delete the white background, the magic wand tool would be really good at that. But if I wanted to select something from the inside out, for example, this piece of candy corn, then it's going to do that for me very well. I could even select this piece of candy corn. It's going to bring a few other pieces with me. Sometimes it's not perfect. But in this case, I'm just going to grab that candy corn. So it's got a selection. I can go ahead and grab my move tool. As you can see, it has a selection. I'm going to go ahead and move it over. And it's only going to take the candy corn. Okay, it's only going to take the candy corn. Now, I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to click X. And once I've got my candy corn, I can scale it down. I can rotate it. Something like that. Let's say you wanted another piece of candy corn for its eyeball. There's no point in going through and doing that all over again. We don't need to go back to Google and find candy corn and crop it and whatever. Instead, we are going to right click or double click on that layer. Click on duplicate layer. It'll ask you what you want to call it. Layer 3 copy is fine. Click OK. And you'll notice you now have a copy of layer 3, which means I can bring it over, and now I've got two pieces of candy corn. If you want to flip it, which means mirror it, you can go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, and that's how you can that's how you can transform your eyeballs. So now I've got two layers. So I've got 1, 2, 3 food layers. Now let's go ahead and create a mouth. I'm going to use a banana. Just type out banana. Go to Images, Tools, Size, Large. This first banana is going to serve me really well, mainly because it doesn't have a shadow, and I won't have to worry about cropping out extra pieces of a shadow. So I'm going to right click, copy image, go to Photoshop, edit, paste. Now I've got my banana. Okay. Once again, I'm going to right click my selection tool, click on magic wand, select the white, push delete, and like magic, it's going to get rid of all those white pixels. Now I can go to select, deselect, and now I've got a smiley face banana. Or depending on what kind of day you're having, if your parents won't go to the grocery store for you and buy you all kinds of junk food for this project, you can give yourself a frowny face. Once you're done, push enter. Okay? And that should do it. I'm going to go ahead and give him a smiley face because I'm having a pretty good day so far. I'm going to put it right about here. Now, I still need several layers. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I could do is create things like arms. I could create a body out of a watermelon. I could create things with marshmallows, um, Oreo cookies, peanut butter cookies, Ritz crackers, chicken legs, all kinds of stuff. So think outside the box, really use your imagination, and I think you're going to have a good time with this project. I'm going to go ahead and leave you right here and let you continue on with the rest. Even though technically this is not a finished project, make sure you are reading your instructions because the instructions do say 8 to 10 layers of food. Okay? But I'm on my way, I'm on a good track, and I'm pretty happy with where this is going. Make sure once again you are finding high definition, large format images so that your composition will come out looking really nice and really clear. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. Please email me through Canvas. Please email me through my school account. It doesn't matter. I will get back to you as soon as I can with as much information as I can. So, with that, I hope you have a great day. I hope you get a lot of snacks out of this from mom and dad. You might share some with them as well. And I hope you enjoy this project. Goodbye for now. Bye bye.